Hey guys, I'm Vaios Skretas, and today I'm coming to you from Montreal. Big shoutouts to Dallas, Cedric, and Rithi for letting me stay at their place. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about handstand. It's a bit of an underrated skill considering that I feel it's literally the most important skill to work on. Of course, tricking encompasses a lot of different styles of movement, but anything related to tumbling or gymnastics or anything symmetrical is pretty much only going to be as good as your handstand. Think about back handspring, back tuck. So in this tutorial, I hope to give you a more thorough understanding of handstand, why it's important to work on, and give you the knowledge and drills necessary to take your handstand to the next level, whatever level you're at. So this is not really meant to be a beginner tutorial, but I'll start with some of the basics so we can all get up to speed. So when I teach handstand, I teach it like this. This is the starting position. You don't have to do this, but it's good for the technique. You want your arms up as high as you can get them. Not like this, but like this, as back as you can get them. I'll explain more later. Back leg straight, front leg bent, deep stance. If you're really new to handstands, your first progressions might look something like this. First you kick, nice and light. Come down in the exact position you went up. Once you're comfortable with that, your legs will meet in the middle. So, up, tap, and back. Start finding your balance point. You can tap your legs and hold them as long as you can. Up, tap. So even without any actual instruction on proper technique, most people can figure out how to stand on their hands based on what I've showed you so far. As long as you hold your body position in the air strong and you're not flopping around, it doesn't matter if your technique is tad. If you're holding a strong position with your body, you can balance it. But now I want to highlight the most common mistakes people make in their handstands and how to fix your technique. A quick note though, don't walk in your handstand. I want you to be able to hold it in one spot and just balance right there. When you're walking, you're actually using your speed to regulate your balance. It's a different thing. Before I get into tips about overall body positioning, I just want to talk about your hands first, your point of contact with the floor. So when you're standing normally, if you start leaning forward, you push through your toes, and it brings you back. Start leaning back, pull up your toes, right? Balance like this. Same thing on your hands. When you're on your hands in your handstand, and you start leaning forward, you'll push through your fingers. You push yourself this way to upright yourself. If you start falling back, lift your fingers. You don't have as much control coming back this way. You have more control pushing through your fingers. But essentially that's what you want to be doing. Most hand balancers as well, they don't lay their hands flat. They actually curl their fingers up like this. Or I like to do it like this because my fingers kind of hurt. Instead of being flat, it creates a little angle from your palm to your knuckle to your fingers. And it gives you a little more leverage in terms of balancing through your hands. A good way to work on balancing through your fingers is with two-point balance. So if you haven't heard of this, you take your elbows, put them into your knees, like that. So now you're gonna stand on your hands, so you don't have to hold yourself up like this. You rest your elbows on your knees, your knees on your elbows, and you can stand like that. And when you're in your two-point balance, you're gonna be balancing through your fingers, just like I was talking about. And if your body's floppy, you're not gonna be able to balance it. But it's a simpler position than handstand, so you can get used to the balancing through your fingers. So good form on a handstand is both aesthetically pleasing and structurally strong. So if I have a weight right here, right? This is a weight. The force of gravity is acting upon it, pulling it straight down. What's the strongest shape I can use to keep this in the air? Well, the strongest shape I can use is something like this stick, a perfectly straight line up and down. Since gravity is coming down this way, you want to counter that force by pushing up. Now, realistically, this is not stable, right? The most stable shape might be like a pyramid because it won't fall over. But since you can balance, this is going to be the shape that you're going to try to be. Most people actually find it really tough to hit a straight line in their handstand. And the main reason for that is actually shoulder flexibility. I'm going to talk about two main points of technique, and that's your shoulders and your core. But I'm going to start with the shoulders because really the shoulders throw it off for most people. If you raise your arms up as far as they go, most people find it difficult to get them straight up. If you can only get about this far, well, now you have an angle here. So in your handstand, so if you don't have the shoulder flexibility, you can't get a straight line up because it curves where your shoulders meet your back. And then to counterbalance that curve, most people curve their back like this. So a major step for getting a straight line on your handstand, shoulder flexibility. That's one of the first things. Pretend I'm on a handstand. Most people, your average handstand looks something like this, where because there's a bend in the shoulders, the body has to compensate for it to keep it straight. You end up leaning back. If you can get from this position, fix the shoulders, now you'll have to hit a hollow body position to be straight up. Now you're straight in your handstand. Obviously this is easier said than done. Some people have a lot of difficulty with shoulder flexibility and I really understand that. Take it slow. As you're working on the flexibility, you'll also be increasing the strength, and this will help you with things like Gumby and touchdown rise as well. If shoulder flexibility is something you're lacking, take it slow. Build the flexibility. The best thing you can do for your handstands is working on the shoulder flexibility, even if that means not actually doing a handstand. Another reason that often pushes people into this kind of position is because they're really trying to look at the floor. So trying to see the floor with their whole face like this, and it causes your back to arch too. Push yourself up. You don't need to look at the floor with your whole face, that is. Just when I'm doing a handstand, when I'm like this, I don't look like this at the floor. That's the floor, right? I just, like, with my eyes, like, turn your head up only as much as you have to. Try not to really look at the ground except just from the top of your vision. I talked about the shoulders, now the rest of the body. So, a handstand uses a hollow body position. And that's this, right here. So if you want to get really nice handstand technique, you have to work on hollow body position. Shoulders, as far back as you can. Working on the flexibility. Arms straight, legs straight. You want to be flexing your core and pushing your lower back down into the floor. Some people, when they don't have the strength to hold this position, their lower back starts to come up off the floor. Like this. There's space under here, right? You do not want that space. You want your lower back pressed into the floor. So, if you're standing against a wall, normally there's a little bit of space in your lower back here. So, in your hollow body, it's not just putting your arms up like this. You want to push your lower back into the wall. So, take a little step out with your feet to allow you to get the angle, and really try to push your core into your body. Push it almost against your spine. You want to take the front of your body and push it all the way to the wall. Back like that. Once you address the shoulders, bring the shoulders into alignment with the back, now you'll pretty much have to bring your body into alignment or else you'll fall over. So it's kind of tricky because these two things, the two things that most people don't address properly, you kind of have to fix them at the same time because they balance each other out. So a few more notes on the hollow body position. You want to be pushing through, making yourself as tall as you can, pushing through every fiber of your body. So you're pushing through your arms, your core is tight and pushed this way. Everything is just flexed and as long as possible. Little note about flexing in your handstand though. If you're balanced, if you're like this, and every part of your body is stacked on top of the other parts, you don't need much muscle to keep yourself up. It's pretty much just the alignment of your body holds itself up. So you don't need to flex your abs as if someone was gonna kick you, right? It's more about pushing through, making yourself tall, and pulling these little tricky points into alignment. So push through the shoulders, pushing through but also back, keeping tight in your core, and just pushing everything as straight as you can. So, arms and legs straight, locked straight, more than you ever would in tricking. Think about a cartwheel or a touchdown rise. When I say reach with a straight arm, there's always a little bend in it because it's dynamic movements. You're jumping, you're landing on your hand. Handstand, on the other hand, there shouldn't be any external forces trying to knock you off balance. You don't need to brace for anything. There's no impact. It's just perfectly still. So you truly can push through completely straight, and you should. You don't want your arm to be a little bent because now you're using muscle to keep yourself. Straighten it out, and now you don't even have to use your muscle pretty much to keep it straight. It's just your body is just stacked in alignment and it stands. So you don't need to flex to keep yourself up. It's more keeping the body position for the aesthetics. If you really want a good aesthetic on your handstand, it makes a difference. You can tell when someone is truly pushing their legs and their arms as straight as possible. You want to straighten them out fully. Got a quick, cheeky little tip for you guys. Most people handstand with pretty wide arms. Increases stability, but you don't really need it. If you bring your arms in like this, shoulder width apart, no more, you can really straighten them, and it really helps you get a straight line from the front. Really increases the aesthetic appeal, in my opinion. When you're working on your handstand, once you can balance it and you're really working on the aesthetic and trying to make it look good, record yourself. See how you look. There's a lot of minor details you're going to have to make because you can't do it just off of feel. So make sure you're recording yourself. If you're working on the aesthetics, you have to see what you're doing from third person. So that's most of what I've got in terms of technique. I need to give you guys a serious caution though. Take care of your wrists. Everyone I know who starts training handstands seriously, including myself, a few times where I couldn't trick, I had to be off my ankles because they were in pain from tricks, right? So took a few months off and just worked on handstands because I wanted to trick somehow. So I ended up messing up my wrists pretty quickly, and then I couldn't do handstands either because they're not meant to take that much weight. So seriously, take care of your wrists. Take it slow. 5-10 minutes a day. Do as much as your wrists can handle. They'll get stronger pretty quickly, but you have to be aware of sensations. If your wrists are hurting, stop. So be patient with it, guys. Handstand is an important skill, but it's something you can do pretty easily. You don't need much to do it. I would say try to work on it every day, even if it's just 5 minutes. Overall, it's great for strength, awareness, flexibility. It's just a great skill overall. Not only is it a basic skill, but it's also a high-level demonstration of skill and technique and precision. A handstand is a pretty impressive trick on its own, if you put time into it, and I think handstand is one of those skills that we should always just be trying to passively improve. I'm not saying anyone needs to care about handstands or work on them that much, but if you're a tricker, it's just something you should be doing. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you're interested in working on your handstand, I hope you have a good idea of what your next step might be. This is my first tutorial as a sponsored content creator for Kojo's Trick Lab. I'm going to be dropping one tutorial a week, and let me know if there's any tutorials or topics you want me to cover in future weeks. If you're not familiar with Kojo's Trick Lab, I'll introduce you. KTL is a website where some of the best trickers share knowledge and tips through video tutorials. 6 new videos are added every week, and there's already over 250 videos online in a variety of categories. Not only do you get access to information you can't get anywhere else, but you're directly supporting trickers who create the content. It's by trickers, for trickers. Every week, I'll be creating a new tutorial for Kojo's Trick Lab. At the same time, I'll be uploading a shortened version to YouTube. The tutorial you just watched is actually about 60% of the full length. On Kojo's Trick Lab, you can watch the full version of this tutorial with an extra 3 to 4 minutes of beefy tips specifically for trickers. I've gotten a lot of support on my tutorials so far, and I want to keep providing content for you guys. That's why I'm going to be uploading to YouTube as well. But those of you who are self-motivated and thirsty for knowledge, I seriously recommend checking out Kojo's Trick Lab. It's a huge asset to your training, and I wish I had it when I started tricking. Use my affiliate link in the description below to check it out. Good luck, guys. I'll see you next week.